Hey, I'm Tony Roach for Fish USA. It's a beautiful spring day. We're taking advantage of this weather and we're out doing a little bit of pan fishing. You know, it's hard to talk panfish without talking about floats. Floats work for good reason, but not all floats are created equal, and there's floats for different situations. For example, you know, today I'll be using more of a casting bubble style float. That's a little bit different than a slip float like you see here, or even a clip-on. And the reason I'm using this casting bubble versus the others is simply because of spook factor. You know, we're shortly after ice out. These fish have slid in this really shallow water, and I don't want to spook those fish. It's nice to get that casting bubble out there. I can fish a really small plastic, and this thing's just going to pop up and go underneath the water without spooking those fish. Other bobbers, you know, you've got a lot of hardware that's actually underneath the water, but I'm only fishing about 1.5 to 2 feet down, and I don't want to spook those fish. I'll show you exactly what I'm doing with this float. You know, this time of year, right after ice out, you get a nice warm day like this, and all these fish will pile in these shorelines, and they get really tight water. You got dark stained water, maybe some weeds, muddy bottom. That's going to absorb the heat, and that's going to draw in these big fish. All types of species are up here, not just panfish. You got bass, you got pike. Everything's up here for a reason, because that water's warming up extremely quickly. Boom, they'll shift into that real tight water, and they're feeding on invertebrates, real small young of the year minnows. So the other important part of this equation is the right plastic. You can use a hair jig, anything that's going to mimic a small minnow or an invertebrate. These fish are feeding on it heavily. Nice, let's get this girl back in the water. It just never gets old watching that slip float go down, catching panfish in this really tight water. You know, we're getting crappies and bluegills. It's just a riot. It like brings me back to my youth watching that float go down. Wow. There's not a better way to spend a spring afternoon than using a float with a light piece of plastic, light line, and then of course a really light rod. If you're looking to restock your tackle box this spring and load up on these great panfish items, you're going to want to check out FishUSA.com.